All right, let's get right into it. Today we're talking about Canada. Canada has this reputation, right? A country with open arms, welcoming the world. Well, things are shifting. We're talking about a huge overhaul of their entire immigration system. And trust me, the rules are changing faster than you can say A.
So, have you ever pictured yourself living in Canada? Maybe you're already there, studying or on a work permit. If any of that sounds like you, then you're going to want to listen up, because it's like the entire rule book is being thrown out and rewritten from scratch. We're talking about everything: permanent residency, student visas, sponsoring your family, the whole shebang. So let's break down what is actually going on, and more importantly, what it could mean for you. First up, what we're calling Canada's Great Immigration Slowdown. And yeah, it's pretty much what it sounds like. The core of all these changes is a deliberate plan to pump the brakes on the number of people coming into the country.
And this isn't just some vague idea. They've put hard numbers to it. As you can see, the government's laid out a plan to dial back the number of new permanent residents each year. We're looking at a drop of about 30,000 people from 2025 to 2027. Now, don't get me wrong, these are still big numbers, for sure, but the direction, the trend, it's crystal clear. Canada is intentionally slowing things down.
And hey, this isn't just about people looking to stay forever. For the very first time, Canada's putting a cap on temporary residents too. And look at this chart. Who's the biggest piece of that pie? International students, almost half. That's a huge signal, right? It tells you the government is pointing directly at the explosion in student numbers as a major source of pressure on things like housing and other services.
Okay, so if the door isn't as wide open, that begs the question, who actually gets through? Who's getting priority in this new system? Well, the answer is, it's getting a lot more specific.
Let's look at skilled workers, for example, the express entry system. In a recent draw, Canada sent out 4,000 invitations to apply. Sounds great, right? But here's the catch. It was exclusively for people in healthcare and social services. And on top of that, you needed a CRS score, that's the point system for things like your age, education, and work experience, of at least 475. Let me tell you, that is a high score. The message couldn't be clearer. If your job isn't on their priority list, your chances just got a whole lot slimmer.
And this laser focus, it extends to students, big time. The Post-Graduation Work Permit, or PGWP, has always been the golden ticket for students who want to stay and work after graduating. But now, wow, they're shaking it up. They've added 119 fields of study that are now eligible, but at the same time, they've axed 178 others. This isn't random. It's a calculated move to create a direct pipeline from certain classrooms to specific jobs they need filled. It's creating clear winners and losers based on what you chose to study.
And the ripple effects just keep going. This isn't just about the students themselves. It's about their families. It used to be pretty standard that if you were an international student, your spouse could get a work permit. Kind of a given. Well, not anymore. Starting in January 2025, that door is closing for most. Only spouses of students in very specific, high-demand programs will even be able to apply.
The squeeze is also hitting family reunification hard. People wait for years for the Parents and Grandparents program to open, and it finally did. But check out this number. Only 10,000 invitations are being sent. And here's the kicker. They aren't even new applications. They're pulling from a pool of people who registered their interest way back in 2020, 4 years ago. So if you aren't in that lineup, then you're just out of luck for now.
And just in case that wasn't tough enough, for those lucky 10,000 who did get an invitation, they have another huge hurdle to clear. This number: you have to prove you earn a minimum family income of over $47,000. It's just one more filter, one more barrier, making it that much harder to bring your family over.
So when you squeeze something this hard, what happens? Cracks start to appear. All these new rules, these higher bars, this slowdown, it's all putting a massive strain on the immigration system itself. And boy, is it starting to show.
Just look at this number. Over 840,000. That is the number of applications currently stuck in the backlog. To put that in perspective, that's more people than live in the entire city of Winnipeg, just waiting. The system is so buried that it can't even keep up. We're at a point where barely half of the permanent residency applications are getting processed within their own target times.
Now, partly in response to all this pressure, the government tabled a new piece of legislation in June. It's called the Strong Borders Act.
And it's poised to bring some of the biggest changes to Canada's asylum system that we've seen in a very, very long time.
So what's in this proposed law? Well, it's a pretty significant shift. For one, it would stop anyone who's been in Canada for more than a year from getting an asylum hearing. It would also force people who cross at unofficial borders to file their claim within just 2 weeks. And it gives the immigration minister some pretty sweeping new powers, like being able to cancel immigration documents in bulk. As you can probably guess, these ideas have run into some major pushback from refugee advocates and civil liberties groups.
This pressure isn't just bureaucratic. It's becoming political. And this is a big one. Ontario's premier has basically said, fine, if the federal government can't handle it, we will. The province announced it's planning to issue its own work permits to asylum seekers, completely bypassing Ottawa. I mean, that's a direct challenge to federal authority, and it really shines a spotlight on the growing tug-of-war between the provinces and the federal government over who controls immigration.
Okay, we've gone through a lot of details here, so let's step back for a second. What's the big takeaway? What's the story all these changes are telling us?
It all paints a picture of what you could call the Great Canadian Squeeze. We're seeing fewer newcomers overall. The criteria for who gets in is becoming way more targeted and selective. All of this is causing massive backlogs and delays, and it's sparking political fights. Essentially, Canada is shifting from a wide-open door to a much narrower, more strategically guarded one.
And so all of this leaves us with one massive, lingering question. Is this all just a temporary fix? A short-term course correction to deal with pressures on housing and services? Or are we watching something much bigger? A fundamental change to the very identity of Canada as a nation built by immigrants? The answer to that, well, that's going to shape the country for generations.